Put your seatbelts on and get ready for the ride. We're the freaking New York Jets, so we're built for this shit.
Hello and welcome to another episode of In the Trenches with Gang Green. I'm your host, Bubbs. Today is Friday, August 8th. Hopefully everybody's having a good day so far today. This is episode 595 of the In the Trenches with Gang Green podcast. I thank you, as always, for joining me. For those tuning in on YouTube, make sure to please like and subscribe. Of course, appreciate all of those tuning in on all the different audio podcast platforms. And today we have another edition of the New York Jets player previews. It is the Friday edition, the 9th episode of the 2025 New York Jets player preview series. You know the drill. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we take a look at two New York Jets, one on the offensive side of the football and the other on the defensive side of the football. And today, we're going to take a look at rookie tackle Armand Membou, the Jets' 2025 first-round pick. And on the defensive side of the football, we're going to take a look at fourth-year edge rusher Jermaine Johnson a little bit later on in today's podcast. As always, though, we begin on offense, and that means we begin with the rookie Armand Membou, the first draft pick of the Aaron Glenn and Darren Muji era. The Jets have, of course, selected Membou in the first round, 7th overall out of Missouri. He is 6'4", 332 pounds, 21 years old, young prospect coming out of Missouri, and one of the more exciting prospects entering this draft. And you enter this season with the New York Jets as one of the more exciting players to look forward to on this team, not only this year, but for the future, right? The New York Jets had a couple different options and a couple different directions they could have gone at number 7. The main two lanes that they could have taken was either the offensive tackle or go the tight end route. Of course, they chose the offensive tackle and elected to take Mason Taylor to address the tight end position with their first pick in round number 2, 42nd overall. And while Armand Membou wasn't the sexy pick, he wasn't the flashy pick, it was the smart pick for Darren Muji and Aaron Glenn. It was the right pick for Darren Muji and Aaron Glenn in what was their first pick of this new regime, as now you hope and as you project and really start to project and predict rather what Membou can do and what this New York Jets offensive line can look like in a perfect world, with Armand Membou now added to this offensive line as one of the last pieces to this unit at right tackle. You hope that the Jets here have found their bookend tackles and have their bookend tackles for the next decade in a perfect world, with Armand Membou on the right side and Olu on the left side. And that's why it was a smart pick to get your two bookend tackles, lock up that part of the line, and continue to move forward, especially when you look, as we talk about a ton on this podcast, every Jet fan knows this, the identity of this New York Jets team: winning in the trenches, running the football, but also being able to protect Justin Fields. And when you look at Membou, before you even get into the numbers and some of the metrics and what he does well and all that stuff, this is a guy that fits Aaron Glenn's type of player, fits Aaron Glenn's culture. This just feels like an Aaron Glenn prospect. He's got some nastiness to him. He's athletic. He's physical. He's got that competitiveness to him. From a run game perspective, you watch him on tape, and he shows off at times as just a mauler in the run game. And you heard Aaron Glenn on draft night speak of him, and you could tell how much of a player that Armand Membou is, that type of player fits what this Jets team fits, is exactly what Aaron Glenn wants, specifically what Aaron Glenn wants, not only in all of these players, but this offensive line specifically, as you look at this unit potentially being a top 10 unit this year and one of the bigger strengths of this team. And arguably, this team is going to go as far in some ways as this offensive line is able to take them. And you hope Armand Membou can be one of these long-term pieces opposite of Olu Fashanu, of course, holding up the left side. For now, Justin Fields' blind side. And when you look at what Membou does well, he started at right tackle in all 25 games. Another reason why you like the draft pick, there were some possible scenarios of the Jets drafting a left tackle and then having to mold them into a right tackle. What made Membou also such an intriguing and a right fit for the Jets was his background of playing right tackle. You drafted a right tackle. He started 25 games at Missouri at right tackle. He's got the experience. You don't have to worry about cross training. You don't have to worry about, him going through his rookie year and having to, kind of learn on the fly. There's always learning, but learning, the opposite side where you played left tackle in college. No, that's not the case. He was a right tackle. You're drafting him to be right tackle. You had a hole at right tackle, and they get that player here. And when you look at Membou, his strength is his pass protection. But I also don't think, and we'll get to that here in a second, the run blocking can't go unnoticed either, because I actually do think the run blocking in many aspects is an under-the-radar strength of his game. He really is a very complete offensive tackle. Not only when you watch the tape and you watch what he was able to do at Missouri, but also when you look at these numbers and how he graded out and the metrics in many areas. So last season, just looking at last year, he played in 12 games, 411 pass blocking snaps. These are some of the pass block numbers. He didn't allow a single sack or a single quarterback hit, and he only allowed 8 quarterback hurries. That was good enough to make him grade out as an 86.6 pass blocking grade. So from a pass protection standpoint, was essentially perfect. No sacks, no quarterback hits, 411 pass blocking snaps, 12 games played. And on top of that, he also did a lot of really good things from a run blocking perspective as well. And when you talk about complete offensive tackles, I think this number really pops out and proves that point. Last year, he had an 87.6 run blocking grade, which was actually higher than his pass blocking grade, although his pass protection, of course, flew off the charts last year, and a lot of people he caught a lot of people's eyes because of that. But when you look at that run block grade, he was just one of 2 offensive tackles to tally an 85 or better grade in both pass blocking and run blocking in college football last year. So you talk about complete pass pro, run blocking. He was able to do both at a very high level last year and was able to do both very consistently. And when you look at this Jets team, run blocking is huge. But also, just like every team, got to be able to pass protect. Membou showed that ability as well. He also had a 90.6 overall Pro Football Focus grade last year, so finishing above a 90 is obviously really impressive, and that finished 3rd among all offensive tackles in the FBS. So really impressive stuff near the top of college football in many of those areas. And another thing that really pops out for Membou, and it came at the combine, is the athleticism. And that's something that you really get excited about, and really where the potential kind of pops off the chart a bit with Membou as to what he can do at the NFL level. And that's what he brings athleticism-wise. He finished with a 9.89 RAS, which is relative athletic score. That was 2nd among all offensive tackle prospects in this year's draft. His 4.91 40-yard dash was the fastest among all offensive tackle prospects in this year's draft. And some other notes here as well on that 40-yard dash. That was the fastest by any offensive lineman that is at least 6'4" and 330 pounds since 2003. And I'll throw a number out there for you as well. He was also just the 5th 330-plus pound offensive lineman to run a sub-5 40-yard dash since 2003. So 6'4", 330, it's the fastest, but including all offensive linemen that are over 330, it was the fifth fastest to run a sub, or just the fifth to run a sub 5-second 40-yard dash since 2003. He also had a 9.7 broad jump, which was first among not just tackle prospects, but offensive line prospects as well. And his 34-inch vertical, he became just one of 4 offensive linemen to surpass a 30-inch vertical and a sub 40-yard dash in NFL Combine history. Not just since 2003, NFL Combine history, he was just one of 4 to surpass both a sub 540 and a 30 or higher vertical at the Combine. So he made some history. He was among some of the better Combine performances from an athleticism standpoint that we've seen out of an offensive lineman in a long time. Combine history and dating back to since those 2 numbers in 2003 when you look at the 40-yard dash. And I know the Combine isn't everything, but from an athleticism standpoint, that really popped off the charts. And you see what he's able to do from a pass protection and a run blocking standpoint in the complete offensive lineman, and you get really excited for what he can do. Not only this year, but in the future. There's going to be growing pains. There's going to be bumps. It is with every single rookie. But I think you do go into this season with high expectations for him. You saw what Olu last year was able to do in the limited playing time. Membou is going to get this entire year. He is starting right away. He is going to get an opportunity this entire year to learn and produce and be a productive player for this team up front on the offensive line. And I think you expect him to have a very good season and expect him to be a part of hopefully what is a very good offensive line, even in year 1 where you're going to have some bumps. So I think if you're a Jet fan, you look forward to potential of not just Membou, but Olu as well, and what these two can do this year, but even beyond. In a perfect world, having your 2 bookend tackles. So that's Armand Membou. Now we move on here to the defensive side of the football, and we take a look at Jermaine Johnson. Entering year 4 at 26 years old. 2022, of course, first-round pick, 26th overall from that elite 2022 New York Jets draft class out of Florida State. 6'5", 254 pounds. And he's coming off the torn Achilles. Really, really unfortunate injury last year, not only for just Jermaine Johnson, but of course for the Jets as a team. Went down in week 2 against the Tennessee Titans with the injury. And not only did the Jets eventually fall off, but the defense itself eventually fall off. And certainly not having Jermaine Johnson out there certainly played a role in that. And it was just so unfortunate from Jermaine Johnson's perspective. And the Jets did, of course, pick up his 5th-year option. So he'll have this year and then under contract again next year. So he's got essentially here the next 2 seasons to prove himself that he can get back to the 2023 form and maybe even better. And that's where I wanted to start, right? What made last year so unfortunate for Jermaine Johnson is this was a guy that had a 2023 season that was really impressive. He took a really big jump from what we saw in 2022 to what we saw in 2023, right? 2022 was a rotational role, developmental role, only 2.5 sacks, 29 tackles, 14 games played, not a ton of snaps. It was his rookie season. He only played 312 total snaps. 151 of those were pass rush snaps. You fast forward a year later, and you saw the jump in year 2. And then you went into last year with Jermaine Johnson, and what, again, made the injury so unfortunate and so tough for him and the Jets was what that year 3 jump could have possibly been and what that year 3 jump could have looked like last year prior to the torn Achilles. And now you come into this season with Jermaine Johnson, and I think you've got to temper expectations early on. I want to mention that pretty early here in this player preview. I don't think you can expect Jermaine Johnson to go out there in the first 2 to 3 weeks of the season and dominate. Would that be great? Yes. But they're going to ease him back into it. They're not going to fully throw him back out there and play his full amount of snaps the first couple weeks. Ease him back into it. Let him find his groove. let him get his feet back underneath him, come out of those games healthy, and then you can really see him take off. And I think there is still a very good chance. I still have a very high belief in Jermaine Johnson going out there this year and having a big season once he's fully returned to form after the first couple weeks, which I think you should expect are going to be a bit slow. But after that, you get excited and you can see the potential and how much of just a key piece he is for this Jets defense to take that year 3 jump now in year number 4 that we didn't get to see him take last year with the Achilles injury in week number 2. This was a Pro Bowler in 2023. He was excellent. Excellent. And when you break down some of the numbers, really impressive stuff. And I think what was so impressive about Jermaine Johnson, and you're going to be able to tell this with the numbers and just as we move forward here, how much of a complete edge rusher he was, right? Not only from a pass rush standpoint did he take off in 2023, but also run defense and being able to do a couple other different things as well that are all really good tools to have from an edge rusher standpoint. He was very complete in both aspects of the game, which is really, really important. 17 games played in 2023, 296 run defense snaps, 445 pass rush snaps. That was a total of 748 total snaps, 55 tackles, 7.5 sacks, 56 pressures, 40 quarterback hurries, 16 quarterback hits, and 31 run stops. He also had 11 tackles for loss and just a 7.5% missed tackle rate. And I'll throw these other 2 numbers out here as well. He had a pick 6 and a forced fumble and a fumble recovery. And I believe I mentioned this, but if I didn't, I'll say it again. 7 passes defended, which is an interesting number. He was able to get his hands on the ball even as an edge rusher. Not a position you typically see that, but he was able to do that a lot in 2023, which was pretty impressive. But just some of the pass rushing numbers first here. You know, the 7.5 sacks, of course, were a career high. But it wasn't just that. Those 56 pressures were 26th among edge rushers. He was 20th with those 40 quarterback hurries and 22nd with those 31 defensive stops. So he was top 25 in a lot of those categories, obviously just outside with the pressures. But top 25 edge rusher, solidified himself that year. And then you saw in year 3 that potential jump happening. And that's what you hope is this year. You go from that top 25 to get into the top 15. Hey, maybe take a really big jump and get into the top 10, especially with how well-rounded he is. I also mentioned that 7.5% missed tackle rate. That's a big issue with the Jets these last couple seasons, has been the amount of missed tackles. And Glenn has, of course, talked about that a ton, fixing that. This is a guy in 2023 that was the 6th lowest among edge rushers. Didn't miss many tackles, which was a odd standout in that perspective among a Jets defense that has struggled with that. Jermaine was not in that category. You look at some of just the Pro Football Focus grades here, and then we'll get to just some of the other numbers and how complete he was, and then really what him and Will McDonald can do. He had an 83 overall grade in 2023. That was 20th among all edge rushers, not just qualified, all edge rushers. All 197 of them, he was 20th. So top 20 in that perspective. He had a 73.7 pass rush grade and a 71 run defense grade. So again, well-rounded pass rush, run defense overall over 80. And I thought some of these numbers as well were really interesting and provide even more context just to how good he was, some of the names that he was among. He was one of 5 edge rushers in 2023 to record 45-plus pressures, 15-plus run stops, 10-plus tackles for loss, and 5 or more passes defended. The only others were TJ Watt, Khalil Mack, DeMarcus Lawrence, and Aiden Hutchinson. Pretty good group of players to be in. On top of that, he was just one of 12 edge rushers in 2023 to record 50-plus pressures. He was at 56, of course, so both over 45 and 50, and 20-plus run stops. Some of the other names in that list, TJ Watt was on that list. Khalil Mack was also on that list. And, of course, plenty of others, Hutchinson, near that list as well, or on that list as well. So among some of the elite edge rushers in the game, and I think that also proves to you the well-rounded play of Jermaine Johnson. Right? Will McDonald, we all love. But the big issue Will McDonald has been stopping the run. And you hope he can get better than that. We've already done the Will McDonald player preview. The next step for him, he's put on the size. Now it's stopping the run. What makes Jermaine Johnson so intriguing and such a key piece for that 2023 defense, but now moving forward, is his ability to stop the run. He had the 20-plus run stops, 31 to be exact. He had a 71 run defense grade. He was also able to tally 11 tackles for loss. He didn't miss many tackles with that 7.5% missed tackle rate. And then from the pass rushing perspective, you saw the, I guess, elite flashes or the traits that he has to his game where he's able to dominate in that area as well with the 56 pressures, the 40 quarterback hurries, the 16 QB hits, and the 7.5 sacks, which very easily can turn into a 10-sack player. And I think you look at Jermaine Johnson this year, and after the first couple weeks, I still very believe that he can get back to the player he was in 2023, and hopefully even better. Because that's the best case scenario, is that this guy is able to take that year 3 leap now in year number 4 coming off the Achilles, and it can take this defense to another level. You look at Will McDonald and Jermaine Johnson's 2023 numbers, or their numbers, rather, Jermaine's 2023 numbers and Will McDonald's numbers last year. When you combine the two, they had 18 sacks, 40 quarterback hits, and 117 pressures between the two of them. And that is, again, Jermaine's 2023 combined with Will McDonald's 2024. You get both of those guys. Will McDonald improved against the run and a healthy Jermaine Johnson, and you're looking at one of the better, not just young, but better edge rusher duos in the NFL. With a healthy Jermaine and a Jermaine back playing up to where he was in 2023, maybe even a level higher than that. So that really has to excite you as well when you look at it through that lens of what they did combined in those 2 separate seasons. Now combine that in the same season. That's big time for this team. That's huge for this team. So I'm excited to see what Jermaine Johnson can do this year. And like I said earlier, this is a big 2 years for him. This year's big as well. New coaching staff. They've picked up his 5th-year option. Big opportunity him for now to come back, prove he can come off the Achilles, prove he could still be the player that he showed he can be in 2023 as a Pro Bowler and ranking among some of the best in some of those different statistical categories. Prove you can get back to that player this year and then keep that consistent. Not just this year, but even into the future as well. And that's where you move down the line of a potential contract extension, which is something obviously beyond this year that you discuss. But that's where you're at with Jermaine Johnson from that timeline perspective. But I'm excited for Jermaine Johnson to be back. He's such a fun player to watch when he's out there. He was so much fun to watch in 2023. Last year was so unfortunate. And gets an opportunity here in this defense under Aaron Glenn alongside Will McDonald, healthy season, to go out there and have a big year. So that's Jermaine Johnson. And that's another player preview episode in the books. As always, let me know what you think in the comment section down below. What are your expectations for Armand Membou as he enters his rookie season, and your expectations for Jermaine Johnson coming off the torn Achilles? Let me know what you think in the comments section down below, and any other Jets takes you've got. Let me know down below. Appreciate your support as always. Our next player preview episode, of course, will be on Monday, so stay tuned for that. Of course, between now and then, we will have a ton more content out for you, so stay tuned. Appreciate you all so much. Thank you so much for watching. And until next time, JETS, 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 Jets.